Imagine with me. In a hidden laboratory, you find yourself an unwilling victim of an evil doctor. A faint, cruel smile plays at the edge of his mouth like a spider anticipating the struggles of a snared fly. A hollow rasp escapes the doctor's thin lips, each syllable devoid of warmth or empathy, as he says to you, "You're dying because of a disease that you contracted from someone you know. It's not your fault that you're dying. You had no justified suspicion that the person who gave you the disease was infectious, or that you are susceptible to this particular disease. Nonetheless, you are dying. However, as a brilliant doctor, I possess a unique medicine that can effectively treat this condition. If you take this remedy, you will be cured of this disease and live a long, healthy life. However, if you do not take this remedy, then you will become paralyzed and live in utter agony for several days before your death. This is the choice I am offering you. In this pile are hundreds of indistinguishable pills. Only one will cure you, but taking any other pill along with it will negate its effect. Choose carefully, as your life hangs in the balance." This kind of coerced decision is completely in line with, and maybe even anticipated from, what we would refer to as an evil physician. We would not be surprised if anyone who was forced into this decision, or anyone who witnessed some poor person experiencing this decision, called the doctor evil, cruel, or sadistic. It would be nonsensical to say that the doctor was beneficent, kind, or loving. Furthermore, if the scenario were taken to the extreme, where you were faced with countless options, all of which, except for the cure, would result in endless suffering and hopelessness, it would be an understatement to say that the doctor is cruel. However, this situation resembles what some religions hold as doctrine today. Specifically, some religions or sects within some religions assert that unless we believe specific doctrines or do specific actions ordered by that religion or sect, we will likely experience an eternity of torment and misery. Even if the religion's deity saves everyone and there is no hell, there might be levels of eternal reward and paradise that can only be obtained by adhering to its instructions. Either way, we are incentivized to follow a religion's instructions to avoid eternal, utter misery or attain greater happiness after death. Given this, many of us find ourselves in seemingly equal evidence for various religions, each offering a unique path to avoid certain eternal suffering or attain greater happiness after death. So, is God like an evil doctor? Let's compare the scenario of the villainous doctor with our reality while evaluating various religions to discover the truth. The doctor is wicked because he intentionally put us in an impossible situation, a life or death problem we cannot solve, with the solution hidden among many fakes. He offers no help, condemning us to suffer and die. Here are the elements from the evil doctor thought experiment. 1. We are in serious danger, facing a gruesome death. 2. We didn't intend to be in this danger, or the danger is too severe for our deeds. 3. The doctor claims to have the solution we desperately need. 4. The doctor has hidden the solution among many useless fakes and will not help us. 5. We can't figure out the solution on our own. When taken together, these elements paint the picture of an evil doctor. Therefore, if we apply these same elements to our situation with various religions, the results are as follows. 1. We are in danger of eternal suffering. 2. We did not intend to put ourselves in this peril. If we did put ourselves in this peril, our risk is not commensurate with the actions we took. I did not choose to be born or to have the nature I was given, or I did not knowingly and willingly choose to put myself in danger of going to hell. 3. A God claims to be able to save us. 4. It is unclear which religion accurately describes the path to salvation because God has hidden the way to salvation among many false religions. 5. We are mostly or completely helpless to find the answer ourselves. The central question for religions is why no single religion stands out as a solution more clearly than the others. Religions that talk about heaven and hell generally affirm the following claims. A good God exists. Through this religion, God has revealed instructions for us to follow, and if we follow these instructions, God may reward us beyond death. So what are some ways our situation in choosing the right religion could differ from the evil doctors? I can think of two main ways. First, if the afterlife offered everyone the same reward, regardless of their actions in life, there would be no distinction between good and evil, or between different levels of virtue. This idea, while initially appealing, has significant flaws. It would eliminate any incentive to follow a God's commands, and render the teachings of religion useless. In addition, enduring the hardships of this life would seem irrational if there was an eternal reward awaiting everyone. The second main difference between our situation and the evil doctors is that we possess criteria that allow us to evaluate different religions and determine their respective probabilities. This would mean that God would have helped us to know about the correct religion by making it distinct from the rest, and by giving us tools to see which religion is more likely to have come from God than the rest. In this video, I am offering these tools as a solution to finding the most likely correct religion. To offer these tools, I will use the thoughts and writings of a prominent medieval theologian, St. Thomas Aquinas, and a prominent analytic philosopher from Oxford, Richard Swinburne. After that, I'll offer some additional tests based on findings from my own research. Aquinas and Swinburne compare evaluating purported divine revelations to evaluating a letter's origin. Swinburne says there are three main tests we can apply to letters to help determine their authenticity. We can evaluate the authenticity of a letter using three criteria. 1. Content analysis. This is whether the message aligns with the purported author's style and intentions. 2. Method of expression. This is the handwriting, signature, and paper type. 3. Verification of the transmission history. This is how the letter made its way from the author to its discovery point. According to Swinburne, these tests can be incredibly helpful when used to evaluate divine revelation as a letter from God. However, he believes that a fourth test is also applicable to divine revelation, given its uniqueness. These tests include the following. The first is a content analysis test. We can evaluate the authenticity of a revelation by examining its content, considering whether the message aligns with the purported divine author's nature and intentions. This involves analyzing the message itself, not just the language used, and ensuring it doesn't contradict established moral truths or known facts. Independent evidence can further support or refute the revelation's philosophical or historical claims. The second test is a method of expression. Here we can evaluate the historical credibility of a purported prophet for transmitting a divine revelation, such as whether they were dishonest or of good character. Further, we can evaluate a purported revelation by what Swinburne and Aquinas call the unique signature of God for a divine revelation, a miracle. Miracles, defined as violations or quasi-violations of fundamental natural laws, are acts only God can perform. These events serve as a divine signature, authenticating a prophet's message and confirming the divine origin of their teachings. Evidence for a miracle involves demonstrating that an event occurred that contradicts our best understanding of natural laws, and that this event is not explainable by any natural cause. Therefore, we should accompany claims of divine revelation with claims of miraculous events. The third test, which Swinburne refers to as a test for church fidelity and developed content, is similar to verifying the transmission of the message in history. Here, Swinburne points out that religious messages are prone to being twisted and confused over time. So, to prevent the corruption of an invaluable revelation needed for human salvation, Swinburne says that God would establish a safeguard in place to preserve the original revelation's message. A genuine divine revelation would establish an institution with the authority to interpret its message, disentangling the core teachings from cultural assumptions and adapting them to new context. This institution would use theological principles and historical context to judge competing interpretations and ensure a plausible understanding of the revelation. Fourth, and finally, is the test of whether the interpretations produced by the established institution provide the teaching that God would have chosen to give humans. A good God would preserve and help us interpret a revelation correctly if it aids in our salvation, to prevent it from becoming counterproductive. Therefore, the final test of a genuine revelation is whether the Church's interpretation aligns with what we expect God to reveal. Interpretations of divine revelation should be plausible and consistent with established knowledge and moral principles. Implausible interpretations undermine the credibility of the revelation itself. To summarize, Swinburne believes we can evaluate purported divine revelations in the same way we can evaluate a letter's purported origin. We can evaluate letters for authenticity and credibility by looking at various characteristics, such as the signature, content, and mode of transmission. If you're like me, it can be challenging to apply some of these tests to specific religions. For example, you may have eliminated a few religions using these tests, but there are still a few religions in mind that all seem fairly balanced on these tests. Let's take a moment to step back and think about it from an additional perspective. You are a detective trying to solve a murder. After ruling out some suspects because of their verified alibis, your remaining suspects each have the motive, means, and opportunity to have committed the murder you are trying to solve. While you cannot be sure who the murderer is from the existing evidence. Some suspects seem more likely to you than others. For example, the murderer may have used a fair amount of intelligence and strenuous physical labor, so you would prefer to focus on a stronger or more intelligent suspect than the other suspects. This way of thinking about religions is not too dissimilar. Some religions may seem to have equal evidence with others on the 4 tests we just looked at. However, some religions may have characteristics that on their face make them preferable if we suspect them of offering a genuine path to salvation. For example, if God intended to communicate a revelation that would save a lot of humans throughout time, religions that satisfy the following criteria would, on their face, seem more likely to be true than the rest. 1. The religion is easily accessible to a majority of human beings. A religion's accessibility, its ease of understanding and participation for diverse people, is a factor in evaluating its potential divine origin. To ensure the salvation of more people, a good God would likely make revealed truths about salvation accessible to many. This implies that the core of the religion should be easily comprehensible, not requiring elite rituals or limited material resources, capable of withstanding intellectual scrutiny and accessible to individuals from all socioeconomic backgrounds. The more accessible a religion, the greater its potential to offer salvation to more people, making it a stronger candidate for divine revelation. 2. The religion persists through time. A religion's longevity is significant in evaluating its claim to divine truth. If God reveals essential knowledge for our salvation, you would expect him to ensure the religion's survival through time. A religion that has endured various challenges, such as rival religions, scientific progress, and attempts at suppression, demonstrates a resilience that suggests divine protection. Additionally, more people in history would have been able to access this divine revelation. The longer a religion has endured challenges and remained vital, the more likely it is to be divinely inspired. 3. The religion strongly encourages proselytism. If God desires the salvation of many, a divine revelation would likely encourage non-coercive proselytism to spread the message and increase the chances of salvation for more people. Therefore, religions that actively engage in such proselytism based on their revealed teachings are more likely to be divinely inspired than those that do not. 4. The religion explains that God values us. If God offers salvation, it implies he values humanity and desires our well-being. Therefore, a genuine divine revelation would likely express the positive disposition towards us, even towards those who have not experienced salvation. This is because a good God would not seek to save those he does not value, and the act of sustaining us in existence suggests a positive regard. Essentially, if a divine revelation is given to guide us towards salvation, it makes sense that religions that are accessible, enduring, promote spreading the message, and show God's care for us would align with an effective salvation plan. Now that we've considered several tests to apply to various religions, let's briefly recap what we discussed as we close out this video. First, we saw that it would be a problem for a good God if he offered us salvation through a revelation but did nothing to make it stand out from amongst other false purported revelations from God. Next, we saw that Aquinas and Swinburne thought we could analogize evaluating divine revelations to evaluating the authenticity of a letter from someone. Lastly, we saw that even if some religions appear to have equal weight when we evaluate them, there are additional tests we can use to show which religion, on its face, is more likely from God. So, would you all add any tests to evaluate purported divine revelations? Which religion is most compatible with these tests? Let me know in the comments below. This video covers a lot of content, but if you want to dive in even deeper, you're welcome to explore the resources I listed in the description below. Thank you for your time spent watching this video. If you want me to produce more content like this, please let me know by liking and subscribing. I wish you well, and God bless.